Why do my tests cause me so much stress and so much agony and even depression? Why? And I know of the saying that Allah said, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, which means Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear, right? Well, I can't bear my tests. So am I misunderstanding something? I'm sure if this is a question everybody had in their minds, or at least me, because I did, I 100% did. I was really wondering, so why does it? Why really do we feel that much stress and agony in our tests? And why do we get more difficult tests as we get closer to Allah? Why? This is the best analogy that I can think of. So, imagine your limits, right? The one that Allah does not go past. Imagine that to your a ceiling, okay? Like the ceiling, this room, for example. Let's imagine it to a ceiling. Now, imagine those tests are a bunch of strikes, you know, hammer strikes, whatever kind of strikes you want to think of, just a bunch of strikes. Now, keep in mind, Allah said that tests are within our limits, not outside of the limits, within it. So that means it can still be at the limit, but not past it. And we said this, the ceiling is our limit, right? So, and the tests are powerful strikes. So, that means those powerful strikes can sometimes strike our ceilings. They can get so difficult, so powerful, they could strike our ceiling. But they cannot break the ceiling no matter how powerful it gets. That part that causes you to stress, agony, depression, it is so difficult, it's unbearable. It's because they're reaching the ceiling. But no matter how powerful they are, do they actually break the ceiling? No. They hit it. They just keep hitting it. That's the difficult test. Not all the time will they strike the ceiling, of course. But if you keep getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you get more difficult tests, which means the strikes become that more powerful. Another thing is when you become closer to Allah, when you keep trying to come closer, you just keep climbing the ladder. By the way, Allah's ladder never ends, okay? I know some of us can think, well, I pray nawafil now. I go to the masjid. I pray every single day nawafil with, of course, the fard, which you need to be praying anyway. I do all those things. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every single day. I do basically whatever you can think of that drives me closer to Allah. What can I possibly do to get even closer? Well, truth is, Allah's ladder never ends. You'll always keep climbing. But how do I get even closer than I already am? You can. Just keep trying to come closer. Just keep asking Allah to bring you closer. All of these are considered climbing Allah's ladder. So when does Allah's ladder actually end? It ends when you die. That's when it ends. But unfortunately, a lot of us actually settle in the middle of Allah's ladder. We just go in the middle. We stop climbing at some point because we think maybe we're close enough now. There is no close enough. That's why I actually don't like someone saying this person is close to Allah. How do you know they're close? How do they know they're close to Allah? Have they died and they saw that Allah loves them or something like that? No. So I don't like saying I'm close to Allah. No. I just keep saying I try to keep coming closer to Allah. I keep coming closer. Because that is actually happening. I keep trying to come close. That doesn't mean I am close. How do I know? So what happens when your faith becomes strong, more powerful? You just become strong. Your ceiling rises because you became stronger. You believe in Allah more. You trust Allah more. You know truly that Allah is the all-capable, the all-merciful. So that ceiling rises. And when your ceiling rises, those tests become more powerful to reach the ceiling once again, but again. Reach the ceiling, hit the ceiling, but they don't go past it. They don't break it. Can you imagine how high the ceilings of a prophet must be? Impossible. Not because they don't have ceilings, no. Because we all have limits, even prophets had limits. But their ceilings are just so high, it practically does not even exist. SubhanAllah. So there's a beautiful hadith from our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that actually talks exactly about this. So there, the Sahaba were asking the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, O Prophet, who gets tested the most in this world? The Prophet said, the prophets, remember, our real role models, subhanAllah, they get tested the most. But then what? He said, then the next best. Because remember, we cannot attain the level of a prophet, but we can attain right below that level, which is incredibly high. Because there's no higher than that. Higher than this and you become a prophet, which is impossible. SubhanAllah. So then he said the next best, then the next best, then the next best. A man is tested according to his religious commitment. So if your religious commitment is strong, you get tested more severely. But if your religious commitment is weak, then those tests decrease. And what is the last part that I love in this hadith, subhanAllah? Calamity will keep befalling a person until they walk on this earth with no sin left whatsoever. Subhanallah. So in other words, if you get tested, let's say you got tested right now, your faith did not decrease. Your faith still is strong, still steadfast. You'll get tested again. It remains the same. You get tested more. Remains the same. You get tested even more difficult. You remain the same. Even more difficult. Again and again and again and again and again until there's no sin whatsoever left on you. But let's say like 90% of us, for example, 80%, I don't know the percentage, but basically it's a very rare percentage. Remember, as we said about the whole Firdaus A'la, it's actually the rarest level for any one of us to reach. But again, rarest does not mean impossible, but it does mean the most difficult. That's why we have to keep striving to come close, to keep coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and never stop climbing the ladder, because that never ends. So, like as we said, the most common of us, we get tested, our faith is still strong, we get tested again, still strong, gets tested, our faith starts to decrease. Our religious commitment becomes weak. Those tests start to decrease. And then we start to, depression goes away, the tests come back, and so on. But a lot of us die, but there is still sins on us because our religious commitment did not remain. Do you see what I mean? That's the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not want any of us to enter with sins on our back, even if it is the most ridiculous, the most minor of sins. And I don't like saying the word minor, to be honest, because there is no such thing as a minor sin. If you keep repeating that same minor sin, it'll eventually accumulate to become equal to one major sin. In terms of sayyat, I mean. See? Subhanallah. So no matter what place you're in, how depressed you are, even suicidal, for example, how it all feels like there is no hope left, remember, you are with the Creator that created you, created this world that you're in, that you're thinking of your situation is impossible in. He created all of those situations. He literally, all he does is say, kun, fayakun. Which means he literally, all he does is not even need to move his hand. He just says, be, and it becomes. That's it. All you have to do is just wait till he says be for you. That's it. I know it sounds very difficult, but believe me, you have that mindset. Remember the true purpose of this life. A test. And that gets you to pass anything in this world that has to. So if I stop thinking about money or happiness as my purpose, I become happier? Well, I can't guarantee the happier part, but I can definitely guarantee you'll be more at peace. Because you know, so my depression is a test. Everything that I'm getting hit with is just a test from Allah, and it has to go through Allah's permission for it to actually even happen to me. So that means Allah wanted it to happen to me. He allowed it to happen. He wrote it. So that means He will also take me away from it. He will solve it. SubhanAllah. By the way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna ma'al usri yusr, which means verily, with every hardship comes ease. So don't think it's all just test. No, there's also ease that happens, of course. Allah's still the all-merciful. Because remember, there is visible blessings, which is, the blessing to good, and there is the bad, which is the invisible blessings, which are the tests, basically. SubhanAllah.